Greetings! This is the second video regarding object costing and basic managerial accounting concepts. Here we will delve into an exercise putting all the definitions and concepts discussed in my first video to practical use. These concepts can be found on pages 26 to 65 of the textbook, and exercises can be found on pages 50 to 65. If you desire to review the concepts discussed in this chapter, pages 46 to 49 are very useful. The exercise that we will be completing will be on page 62 of the textbook, problem 2-50, and we'll be completing parts 1 and 3. This reads, W. Phillips Company produced 4,000 leather recliners during the year. These recliners sell for $400 each. Phillips had 500 recliners in finished goods inventory at the beginning of the year. At the end of the year, there were 700 recliners in finished goods inventory. Phillips' accounting records provide the following information. Notably, when completing the cost of goods manufacturer statement and the income statement, first do the cost of goods manufacturers, because the cost of goods manufacturers feeds in the income statement in order to create the cost of goods sold, which is part of the income statement. Also, it is important to remember when conducting both the cost of goods manufactured statement and the income statement, you need to know the who, the what, and the where. The who being in the title, which is W. Phillips Company, the what, cost of goods manufactured, and the when. Since the year is not given, I use the end of this year, which is for the year ended in December 31st, 2015. The way I tackled the problem was looking at the beginning materials inventory in order to conduct the statement of cost of goods manufactured. I then realized that it will be increased, therefore you must add the purchases of raw materials to get the total available. However, you have to subtract the ending materials inventory to get the direct materials used. Then you add direct labor and also overhead. Overhead, as mentioned in my other lecture, includes indirect labor and factory. So, in order to get the overhead, I added indirect labor, rent on the factory building, depreciation, factory equipment, utilities, factory to get total added, plus the direct labor. Afterwards, I added the beginning work in process inventory to get the total available, and I subtracted what's at the end of the month, which is the ending work in process inventory, and that is how I got the bottom line, which is the cost of goods manufactured. In the next slide, I'll show you exactly in the Excel spreadsheet that I used for the cost of goods manufactured when solving the problem. Once again, the spreadsheet that I used for the solution is for the required part 1. After overviewing the spreadsheet, we'll go back to this exact slide or problem, and I'll review how I came up with the answer to part 3, and then show the Excel spreadsheet when called Preparing an Income Statement for External Users. Here is my solution for the cost of goods manufactured statement. If you notice, it has the who, the what, and the when as the title. Also, I added purchases to beginning inventory to get total available, subtracted the ending raw materials to get direct materials used, and added direct labor, plus the total of all the overhead, which is indirect labor, rent, factory building, depreciation, factory equipment, utilities, factory, to to get total added. Total added consists of the total of the overhead, which is right here, all these numbers, plus the direct labor, and also direct materials used. Notably, when calculating overhead, notice how it's indirect labor, as mentioned in the definition from the previous chapter, and factory, because they're all, overhead. And also, after you get total added, which is total of direct materials used plus direct labor plus overhead, you add the beginning work in process inventory to get the total available, and you subtract the ending work in process inventory to get the bottom line, which is cost of good manufacturer. Therefore, the cost of good manufacturer is $652,000. In part 3, which is preparing an income statement for internal users, you notice that you have to use the bottom line of cost of goods manufactured in order to calculate cost of goods sold, which consists of beginning finished good inventory and ending finished goods inventory, where you add beginning, subtract ending, plus cost of goods manufactured to get cost of goods sold. Also, when calculating the sales, I use the 4,000 plus the beginning minus the ending to get 3,800 units. And since they're all sold for 400 each, I multiply that by 400. Here I did the who, what, and the when, which is the who, the what, and the when. As for the sales, there was the beginning and the ending plus 4,000. So 4,000 plus 500 beginning less 700 ending equals a total of 3,800. Since each of the items are sold for $400 each, or the recliners, the sales is 3,800 times 400, the selling price per each. In order to calculate the cost of goods sold, from the cost of good manufacturer statement, you borrow the bottom line, which is $652,000. You add the beginning finished goods to get the total available for sale, and you subtract the ending to get the cost of goods sold. As from financial accounting, sales minus cost of goods sold yields gross profit. Therefore, the sales right here, I subtracted cost of goods sold from it to get gross profit. When calculating the selling and administrative expenses, I grouped the sales first, which is sales supervisors, commission salesperson, and last, the general administration. I added all of these together to get total selling and administrative expenses. As you remember also from financial accounting, gross profit minus selling and administrative expenses, which is the total of all of these, equals net profit, or the bottom line. Also, when figure out selling and administrative expenses, note these are selling in min and do not have the term factory, which implies overhead. This concludes our final Chapter 2 video, and the next video will be focused on Chapter 3, Cost Behavior. Resources can be used at ACE and both the Bedford and Lowell Math Centers, as well as e-tutoring. Thank you for watching, and please stay tuned.